Hello, friends. Welcome to On the Couch program. We are super excited that you'll be joining us. On the Couch is going to be aired every Friday evening at 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel. This program will be focused on answering questions around really difficult topics of finance, family dynamics, parenting, dating, and divorce. So if any of these topics are affecting anyone that you care about or even yourself, please tune in for some biblical answers. We would love to hear from you as well on your own questions. So please send that in to our email address, which will be located in the details below. Thanks so much. We look forward to hearing from you.
Financial problems, troubled family relationships, unplanned pregnancy, broken marriage, delinquent children, or overwhelming grief. Are you burdened by the care of life? Are you feeling hopeless? Friend, whatever you are going through, whatever questions you may have, God has the answers. We invite you to join us on the Couch, a Bible-based program that will give you insight into what the Bible says about these critical issues of life. We present to you On the Couch, finding hope in the midst of a crisis.
Good evening, my viewers. We have become a family. Welcome to On the Couch. We are glad that you could tune in to join us this evening. Today, we are going to be taking another look at family finance. And we hope that as we discuss some of the issues and things that has to do with finance, it will be a blessing to you and to your family. We know that information shared will help to make you better financiers and will also help so that you will have a little more money. Don't everyone want some money? A little more money in your pockets. So welcome. And this evening on the couch, we have two special guests, Gabriel and Lyra. Welcome. We're glad to have you. And before we get into the matter at hand, tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, well, we're a family of four. We have two children. One is 11, one is 9. We have an engineering and a finance background. I'll let you guess which one is which.
All right.
And we've done financial peace several times now, sometimes with our with the church members, sometimes with our family, some with our friends, and for a couple of years now. So we've had a very good response from that.
Okay. How about you, Lyra? Is there anything he has left out that you'd like to add?
Well, I would say we're not from Texas, as you can tell from our accents, but we got here as fast as we could.
Good. So welcome. And for those who are viewing, you know that the host church, is the Fil-Am Church and the Access Church. Well, I'm happy to say that Sister Lyra and Brother Gabriel, they're from the Access Church. And that in itself is a blessing. So we as a church, we are equipped. And therefore, with people like these will help us as we go along, especially as it relates to finances. So let's get down to the matter. Finance. It says that breaks and that makes friends. That can cause family turmoil. Finance. Everybody needs money. And some of us, sad to say, don't know how to regulate and how to properly manage our money so that at least it can be a blessing to us and to our families. So tell me, is there any financial program that you would recommend to provide guidance to proper and better financial living or financial life?
Okay, well, we're gonna tag team these questions. So, you want to go ahead?
Absolutely. So financial programs, there are many out there, and I don't doubt that many of them work. Personally, we would like to subscribe, and would like your audience to subscribe to something that's Bible based. If you were wondering, the Bible has over 2,000 references of money and finances. And so our Creator already had a plan in mind for us to begin with.
Good.
So why not start there? And so when it comes to finances, we also like to think that it's 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge. So if you are in some financial trouble, you want to get out of some financial trouble, you're looking for some financial wisdom, you have to change your behavior. And that it's hard. It requires discipline. And we know what the word tells us about discipline, right? Hebrews 12:11. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. But later on, it just yields a harvest of righteousness and peace to those who've been trained by it.
True.
So when looking at financial programs, my first suggestion would be to go to something that's Bible based. And with that in mind, we've subscribed to Financial Peace University. We've coached several teams, several families, church members, and they've all had wonderful testimonies about it. It's a simple 7-step program that takes you to from beginning to end to becoming becoming a giving person, right? Because we were created at the image of our God, who is a giving God. So he wants you to get out of this mess and become something where you can bear fruit and be a good example for others. Perhaps you want to go over the 7 steps.
Okay, so the program that we have used is Financial Peace University, and it has 7 baby steps. And the idea is that you do them in order. The first baby step is basically to set up an emergency fund of $1,000. The reason for this only being $1,000 is because it's a Murphy repellent. Yeah. When you don't have anything saved up, you don't have any cash, a flat tire will make you get into more debt and use your credit cards, and that'll sink you more into the hole. So the first thing you have to do is you need to have $1,000 in cash in the bank so that you can be ready for any emergencies that might show up.
Okay.
The second step that you have is basically to have
to get out of debt.
To get out of debt, yeah. So you have to list all your debt from the smallest to the largest, and you need to tackle whatever the smallest debt is first. Yeah.
Okay.
Some people say, no, you have to do the highest interest rate first. Well, what we've seen is that the wonderful thing about the debt snowball is that if you attack the smallest debt first, as soon as you get rid of the smallest debt, you get this thankfulness that, hey, I can do this. Yeah. So you go on to whatever next biggest debt is. Yeah. And so now you have what you had from the first debt, you add it to the second debt. And when you get rid of that one, then you have even more to put on your next debt. And so the idea is to get rid of all that debt except for the mortgage payment. Yeah. The third step is to have from 3 to 6 months whatever income you bring home. Yeah. So when you get this, basically if you have a problem with a car that you need to pay, whatever expenses that show up that are emergencies, you can tackle them without any issues if you have 3 to 6 months. Also, if you lose your job, then you are more at ease to find a better job. Yeah. The fourth baby step is to
it's investing for the future. So it's 15% of your income should go into investing for your future.
15%.
15%, 1-5.
Yeah.
And this is after, remember, at this point, you have no debt. you have a good cushion to keep you secure in case something happens.
Mhm.
And now it's just think about the future. What's next? Well, eventually you're not gonna work, and then you'll have to live off of something,
Mhm.
and perhaps Social Security is not enough.
Mhm.
So yes, investing 15% of your income salary is it's what we advise.
Okay.
And what you have to take into account is, if you never invest anything, you will never have anything. Yeah.
Mm.
So 100% of the people that don't invest anything will have nothing. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the government has already proven that they're not the best in making sure that you're going to have enough for when you retire. So that 15% is for whenever you retire. Okay. After the 15%, you need to save for college. If you have kids, you need to start putting money away for them for when they grow to college. And it's getting more expensive every year.
Yeah.
So you need to set up a program for that. Step number 6 is pay off the house. The house, the mortgage is one of the biggest expenses that we have.
Mhm.
And so the idea is that you already have you don't have any more credit cards. You already have 3 to 6 months saved up, even though now with the pandemic, we really want to think it's more like a year saved up. And so now, when you get rid of the house, of the mortgage, you have this level of freedom that you can go on to baby step 7, which is give. Yeah. So
Give.
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 Yeah.
Giving.
So what my wife was saying, we have this giving God that has provided so much for us. Yeah. So when we get to baby step number 7, we want to be more like Him. And ironically, one of the most pleasurable things that people have is when they give to other people, they feel really, really good. Yeah. So baby step 7 is to give, build wealth and give.
Okay. But as you rightly say, the mortgage is normally one of the biggest expenses that a person would have or a family would have. Is it recommended that while we are paying that mortgage, that we can also tap in to number 7? Or should we wait until we have actually cleared the mortgage, which sometimes we are talking about 20 years, 25 years?
We'll talk about that in depth, about the mortgage and how you should buy a home. But the baby steps are meant to be 1, 2, 3 to be done sequentially. First, you get $1,000 in cash, and that's just save out there for an emergency. You don't touch that money. Number 2 is you tackle debt. You try to get debt free. Under this program, what we have seen, it will take a family, average family, each case will be different, right? But 18 to 24 months, you should be debt free. Yes.
Except for the mortgage.
Except for the mortgage. And then after you have no debt, Dave Ramsey has this wonderful saying that I really like. And he says, you know what you have when you don't have payments? You have money. So with that money, then you build your 6 months of expenses so that you have that set aside in cash. It's easy to grab in case something happened. And then steps 4, 5, and 6, which is investing the 15% of your income, saving for your kids' college, and paying off your house. You tackle them simultaneously, depending on your situation, because you may have relatives who are willing to pay for your kids' college. So perhaps then you use those funds to invest in retirement and get rid of the house, and then that gets you closer and faster to baby step number 7, which is giving and building wealth.
Okay. There are some families who sometimes it's just the husband who is the breadwinner, and sometimes, especially in these days, it's the wife who is the breadwinner or the main breadwinner. And it gets into either head that, hey, I earn the money, so I determine how it is spent. What do you have to say about that?
Well, for this one, we're going to go straight to the Bible. And in Genesis 2:24, it says, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." So they together are one. And one of the things that we have to keep into account is that if we are one, we make decisions together. Yeah. And when we start doing the program that we talked about, the first thing that you do is set up a budget. Yeah. And usually you have one person that is more numbers oriented and the other person that is more a free spirit. Yeah. So the numbers oriented one will grab the numbers, see how much they spend in each one of the categories, and there will be a category that is for each one. In this category, the husband puts how much he should be allowed to spend, and the wife should be allowed to spend. And when they get together and do the budget meeting, then they decide if the budget is correct or if they want to move something in the budget. Now, one of the interesting things about a budget that a lot of people need to remember is to make a budget, you need to put in how much you bring home. Mm-hmm. Then income. You need to put in how much your expenses are. Yes. Mm-hmm. And then you have to subtract them. Yeah. If the budget is done correctly, at the end, it should give you zero. Yeah. Okay, balance. It should balance out to zero budget. Yes, sir.
Every dollar should have a purpose. And I would also like to add that finance is a team sport. It's not you versus me. We're in this together. And having that written, and I would say when you have a budget, make sure it's written. It can be written on paper. You can have one of those very fancy, nice apps that from your phone you can track it live. But in any case, it has to be written, and every dollar should have a purpose. And for tactical reasons, you could allocate a line for each spouse, for each family member for that matter. Let's say, your kids are going to keep growing, so they're going to need new clothes. So you should have a line budget that covers that, correct?
And then you have vacations, and then you have repairs for the car, because eventually you're going to have to change the tires, change the oil. These are things that that are coming. Yeah, that Christmas is coming, so you need to put in a line for, okay, these are gifts. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So all these things that you have to take into consideration. Now, saying that, the first 3 months that you make it, you usually won't get it perfect. Yeah, mm-hmm. Especially the first month. You think you only spend like $300 in food? No, you usually spend more. Yeah, but you're not going to see that the first month. It's a good exercise the first 2 months to start tweaking and tweaking. By the fourth month, you kind of have an idea of a more realistic how much you're actually spending on each thing. Yeah.
I hear some, especially ladies, listening to us this evening, mm-hmm. and they are saying, hey, come on, I got to do my nails. I got to do my hair. What are you talking about? And from my experience, these things cost not just time, but money to get these things done. So should these be put into the budget, or should it be from the allowance, if you choose to do that my wife would get?
What do you think?
Well, perhaps I'm not the best person to talk about that. I mean, I do my own nails and I do my own hair, as you can tell. But yes, from a tactical budget perspective, I would say if you're in a financial situation where you can allocate some of your money to do that, by all means, have a line and make sure you stick to it. Don't go overboard. Don't go above that budget for tactical purposes. But I would also say, Pastor Walker, that we just need to we need to learn to be content. Mm-hmm. And nowadays, society is just trying to push so many things that you can buy, so many things that you can get. You're always comparing how does someone look like? What's the next trend? What is fashion doing? And perhaps we just need to take a fast from that and just be content with what we have. Especially if you're in a situation where you're in debt, you should be taking a fast from social media, because by nature, it's just going to try to push things and make you want things that perhaps you're not in a situation to get at that point.
Or that you really don't need.
Or you don't need, right? So we actually have a policy on purchases. If we are going to we have a number that we've decided it's a big purchase for us. And it will be different for each family, for each person. It may be $300 for you. It may be $100 for us. Let's put it that way. So if we are going to make a big purchase, we wait overnight. We think about it. Is this something we really want? Is this something we really need? Is this something that can wait? And then we tackle it that way. And it's proven really a very peaceful experience, because now you're not really wondering, oh, what if I could have had it.
Now, you also have to remember that we don't work in Congress. So we can't spend more than what we're getting in. So going back to what I was telling you with the budget, if what's coming in is less than what's going out, then you need to fix that. Yeah. If the lady, the wife, the girlfriend wants to do something special with her hair or her nails, in the end, the budget needs to balance out. Yeah.
Okay. At this point, because we're living in the real world, and I can hear some of those persons listening to us now saying, wake up, Gabriel, wake up, Lyra. But the reality from what you're saying is that if you have budget constraint, then you need to make sure that you cut back. And some of these things that I just mentioned is cutting back. And if I may say to that family, you cutting back will help your family. So I like what Sister Lyra said. I do my hair. I do my nails. Ladies. Yes, but you are working for the betterment financially for your family. And therefore, not everything that you see your neighbor or your friend does will fit you so that you can have a happy family. And I want to put that out there, because when there is limited money in the family, it brings animosity. It brings also something in the home, I'm trying to find the right word, that will cause that family to be at loggerhead with each other. Because one of the things, as a pastoral counselor, one of the things I find that pull family apart, finance. So thank you for that. Yeah.
You know, there's in scripture in Proverbs 21:20, it says, there is desirable treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man squanders it. So you always need to be able to, when you do the budget, save some. Yeah. That's also part of the budget.
So having said all of that now, my family is in debt. What are your advice to us how to get out of debt?
Well, the first thing that you should do is not get into more debt. And right now you're smiling, but as soon as I tell you that you're going to have to cut up your credit cards, that's going to change really fast. Yes. So one of the things that we have to understand is that the credit cards that most people have, that's credit. Yeah. That's you giving the bank your money and then asking them to lend it back to you at interest. So the first thing that you should do is cut the credit cards up, and you need to start paying them off, which is maybe step one. Yeah. And when you start doing that and you create your budget, you are going to find that you can save money, that you can pay off those credit cards, that you can pay off your debt. And when you don't have any debt, like my wife said, what you have is money. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the step number one. Yeah.
All right. So one of the ways to get rid of debt, pay off my credit card. Yes. Cut it up, get rid of it.
Yes. But then you have to remember, you don't just have the credit cards. You have the car payment. You have that lawnmower that you financed out. You have the grill that you also got on finance. You also have the many other things that, ooh, I want that. Well, they're going to lend me the money to get it. That's also debt. So we need to stop doing that. Yeah. If I want to buy that grill that I want, I need to make sure that I have the money to do it. Yeah. And that it's in the budget, and that we as a team, we already agreed that, yes, we want that.
So you're not recommending hired purchasing?
Sorry?
You're not recommending hired purchasing, where I go and I pay down something and I pay for that grill on installment?
No, the rich man says, how much is it? Yeah. The poor man says, how much upfront, how much a month?
I like that.
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the things that we learned, and it's in scripture, Proverbs 22:7. It says, the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. So you really want to break those chains. You need to stop. Back to the basics, right? We said it's behavior. We need to stop borrowing money. We need to start living within our own means. And we need to get out of debt as fast as we can. Like a gazelle running from the hand of the hunter. Another reference to Proverbs, right? And the baby step number 2, which is attacking debt. Listing your debt from smallest to largest. Making minimal payments on all of them. And adding as much as possible to the first one. And then all those payments that you were making to this first small debt, tackling to the second one. That's how you get rid of that. I mean, it worked for us. It's worked for millions of families across the US, across the world. It is possible to live debt free. I think also society has told us that, oh, you can say 0 down and easy payments. There's no such thing as easy payments. All payments are hard. And so I would say it's possible to get out of debt. It just takes some work and effort. First step is stop borrowing more money. Second step is cutting up your credit cards, pay as much as possible. Sometimes it will require you to get a second job, right? Doing all of this plus getting a second job, selling some things. Perhaps you have furniture that you're not using. It was nice. Oh, the nice credenza that we got, or the nice china cabinet that we got. Perhaps you can sell that to tackle your debt and eventually come back to a lifestyle. So when you're in debt, there's no lifestyle. You're just trying to free yourself from that.
Okay. All of us wants to own a home. So my question to you, should I purchase a house with a mortgage? And if so, I might not have the money to pay for it cash up front. So mortgage, that's the way I might have to go. If so, what type of mortgage do you recommend?
Okay, so I understand that the American dream is to own a home. And that's good. But in order to do that, you need to the ideal is to be debt-free. No credit cards and no outlying other debt. And to be able to have at least 20% to put down on the house. And the mortgage payment should be less than 25% of your take-home pay.
Okay.
Okay, so we have 25% of your take-home pay. You need to put 20% down, and you need to make sure that it is 15 years maximum fixed interest rate. So if you can do those things, you're good to go. Now, the best thing to do would be wait a little bit more, put as much down payment as you can on the house. And then you can breathe a little easier and pay it off as soon as you can.
Okay. So that would be the easier way to go.
That would be the correct way to go.
Oh, there's the difference.
Yes. Well, what you have to understand is this. If you have debt, if you owe the car, you owe the other things that you owe, and then apart from that, you're going to start paying on the house, then you're making a really bad decision because you have all these payments coming at the same time. And if you don't have an emergency fund, God forbid you lose your job, then suddenly you're in a big mess. Yeah. Murphy just came to live with you. Yeah.
Okay. So your recommendation for someone who is trying to get a house now is that they should not have a car payment going while trying to acquire a mortgage for a house.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So ideally, you would go 100% down on your house. But we know it's a big ticket item to own a home. So that's why our recommendation is, if you're not ready, wait a little. Make sure that you have that 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. You have no debt to go into your house. That way your home can actually be a true blessing. And now you're not there trying to making sure that you can do house payments and car payments and credit card payments, because then it becomes very stressful and it's strained marriages and families, like we just mentioned earlier. So in order to enjoy that blessing of the home, that's what we recommend, to put 20% down, because that way you don't have to pay the mortgage insurance, which the mortgage insurance doesn't cover you. It covers the bank if you default. So you're even paying insurance on someone else's for your surety. So that's why we say 20%. And back to the 25% of your income, you need to make sure you know how much you can afford. Because if you go to a bank, you go to the lender, they're gonna come and tell you, oh, you're so very young, you're still at the early stages of your career, your salary is only gonna go up, so you can afford more house eventually. And they'll try to push that for you because it's in their best interest to do that, right? But so you need to do your own homework. You need to know how much is it that you can really afford, and make sure that the interest rate is fixed and it's a 15-year mortgage.
Okay. I know some of the things out there, and so hence I ask some of these questions for those who really want to say it, but because they just have to be listening. There are those who believe that, why should I be paying rent to build up the one who owns that home that I live in, when I can be paying mortgage that eventually that home will be mine? So I hear what you're saying, but I would prefer to get into that situation where what I pay monthly is eventually going to be mine, than to be paying rent or lease each month. What say you on that?
Well, what you have to take into account is that you don't just have the house payment. You have other payments that you need to make. And when you get a house, you don't just pay for the mortgage payment and that's it. You have to pay for the yard, you have to pay the bills, you have to pay the taxes on the house. Yeah. So all these things start adding up. Yeah. And even though people might want to move out of an apartment because they're paying someone else, the way they should be looking at it is, okay, we're paying less in this apartment now so that we can save up this 20% and then buy a home. That should be the way that you look at it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I like that. So you guys, you heard, and that's good advice coming from our guest this evening. There are those, we have touched a little on credit card, but we have not gone directly into it. There are those who believe they can't live without a credit card. What is your advice as it relates to credit card? And for those persons, should they have 2, 3, 4 credit cards? Because, I mean, sometimes when you see some people roll out their pocketbooks or their wallets and you see lines of cards, you wonder, what is your advice?
You know, that's very interesting that you mentioned credit cards. In 2019, the credit card companies spent almost $2 billion marketing credit cards. Now, if they spend $2 billion marketing credit cards, they're not going to do that just for free. They're going to get that money back.
and more.
You ever wonder how they pay for all those huge buildings that they have and the fancy furniture when you go inside the banks? That's how they do it. Yeah. So what you have to remember with credit cards is you are working for them when you have the credit cards. Yeah. If you don't have credit cards, and one thing that Visa says in their own paperwork is that whatever you can do with a credit card, you can do with a debit card. The only difference is that's your money. Yeah. So my suggestion would be to use debit cards instead of credit cards. Yeah. So that way you don't have to pay insurance. And some people will even say, but I pay it every month. Yes, right now you're paying it every month, but they know that eventually you're going to start bringing it up and spending more until 1 month you won't be able to pay the whole credit card. Yeah. And then it'll be 2 months, and then it'll be 3 months. And then they'll be like what you're saying, oh, but I can't live with the credit card, without the credit card. Yeah. Because they already have all this debt. Yeah. That's why in baby step one of the things that you do is you cut them up.
Okay. So your recommendation, no credit cards.
It's yes. And it's back to behavior. I mean, sorry to keep going back to the same point, but it's that's what it is. Credit cards, no. And so many companies have made this study. When you have the plastic versus when you have the notes, the bills, the relationship, it's different. Because when you pay with credit card, you give it to the cashier, they run your card, you get it back. So it's like nothing really left your financial system. But when you are paying with the cash, which, you know, the debit card has the plastic factor to it, but you know that there needs to be money behind it. Otherwise, you're going to get an overdraft fee, right? So when you are counting these bills and paying it, it activates the pain area of your brain. The plastic does not do that. And so there is this connection, there's this emotional connection to plastic versus cash, that it's, you know, swiping is just, you're numb to swiping. And so once you are in the behavior of swiping, you're going to tend to swipe more and more because it does not pain you. That's one. There's this study that I thought it was interesting. McDonald's was the first fast food restaurant to go plastic. And they had made this study on people who were paying cash and people who were paying with credit. And people who were paying with credit were spending more. Supersize my fries, supersize my drink, supersize this, and I'll pay for this, and I'll pay for them. So there's this connection to money that it's not there with the plastic relationship. So I would say that many people will tell you as well, oh, but my airline miles. I pay my credit cards every month and I get all these airline miles. Most of the airline miles go unused. People just go and use their credit cards thinking that they're going to go on the trips, and most people don't. I mean, the statistics are there. Most people don't. Yes, there may be a few out there who are using it for that purpose, and that's okay. But if you have a budget, you can do all of those things and not have to be worried about getting in the behavior of spending money you don't have.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you go back to needs, the only 4 things that we need are food, to pay for the utilities, to pay for the shelter, and to pay for transportation. Everything else is not a need.
Okay. Now there are people who, yes, they are in debt and in it up to their neck. They don't know where to turn. They are confused. The creditors are knocking. Do you recommend that they file for bankruptcy?
That's a very hard question. And one of the things that you have to take into account is it's something that needs to be looked at in a case-by-case situation. But bankruptcy would be the last thing that you do. Yeah. First, I would recommend that you find out how much you owe, how much you're bringing in, create the budget, talk to those lenders, and see if you can work out a plan with them. Yeah. Because bankruptcy will get rid of some things, but it won't get rid of everything. And it's going to stay with you for a very long time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's a no-no.
It's a no-no.
I would say it would be your last resort. After you've tried everything, let's say you try putting your written budget together, you've talked to those creditors that you owe them money, you've worked payment plans, and you've tried to get additional income, you've sold things, you've prayed really hard, because prayer really works when it comes to financial issues. And all of those efforts are still short. That's where you should go and try to file for bankruptcy. Before that, let's just try to work the plan.
Okay. So apart from what you have shared earlier, how would you recommend to our viewers this evening that they avoid getting to that stage of bankruptcy? Is there any additional guidelines, tips that you'd want to share?
I think that it is very important to have good communication with your spouse, your accountability partner. Because once you have an accountability partner, you will have someone that when you go to Lowe's and you see the grill and you want the grill, that person's going to tap you and say, hey, we haven't talked about this. Yeah, it's good. Still going to be there tomorrow. Let's talk about it, and then we'll see. Yeah. And at that point in time, yeah, if you still want it after you have spoken to your accountability partner, then that's a green light. Yeah. That also helps us with the communication in our families. Yeah. When we have the budget meeting, we don't just talk about the money. We also talk about, okay, what did we spend in? What do we need to change? What are our plans for the future? Yeah. And this brings the communication of the families a lot better. Yeah, we know what each other is thinking. Yeah, we know what they want. We know what they need. Yeah, we can pray about things together and say, okay, well, we want to get a new car next year. Yeah, are we together on that? Yeah. So I think communication and accountability are very, very important.
Okay. Now, it is said that the family that prays together stays together. But it is also true that the family that plays together stays together.
Yes, sir.
If I'm in debt, should I take a vacation, a family vacation?
If you're in debt, the question is, are you going to be more in debt when you take that vacation? Usually the answer is going to be yes. So if the answer is going to be yes, what you're telling me is, I want to keep making that bank bigger. Yeah. And then me have to worry about how I'm going to pay them to be bigger. I would say, as a suggestion, wait 6 months or wait a year, plan out your vacation. Yeah. Make sure that you don't have any debt. So when you want to go to that theme park, you have the cash to do it. When you want to go to that fancy restaurant with your wife, you have the cash to do it. And you don't have to worry about, well, will my limit allow this or not allow this on my credit card? Yeah. So do you want to be stressed in your vacation? Or do you want to be at peace because you already planned it out and you already have the budget for the vacation?
Okay. And if I may say, that is where also the accountability partner comes in. So you are saying that each spouse needs to back up the other as it relates to proper financial management, so that this will enable them. Maybe you can't do it now, but it will enable you in the future as you work towards it. Because even the Bible recommend the whole matter of recreation. because the God we worship and serve is a rounded God. But we have some, not just Christians watching this program, but those who are not Christians. I would like for you both to share with them what's the recommendation coming from you as to making sure that financially along this path we are able to do some of the things that we dream about, some of the things we discuss that we see others doing, if that's the way to think, but we are not able to do.
Well, to me, you need to stop comparing yourself to the world and to others. Most of the people, the statistic is, it's so heartbreaking. 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 80%. So in a group of 10, statistically, there will be about 8 people.
Wow.
More than 10 people. So you probably, think about it this way, out of every 10 people 8 of them are in this financial strain situation. And when we got into this plan, and it worked for us, we have powerful testimonies about it. This plan had been presented to us so many times when we were younger. And we were like, oh, we have time for that. We have time for that. And in the meantime, we were buying the latest cell phone, the latest toys, the latest gadgets, keeping up with the Joneses. Guess what? Most of the Joneses are also broke, 80% of Americans. And you don't want to be part of the 80%. You want to be part of the 20%. And when you're there, you want to go help those who are in that situation and drag them out of there. Because you have experienced the peace that brings you as a family, as a person. And you want to be able to share that with your family, with your friends. Sometimes even people you don't know, people who come into your house to do some work, you talk to them about it. You try to figure out, are you in a good financial situation? And so I would say, stop comparing yourself to others would be the number one. Contentment. I go back to this because it's so important. We really don't need much. If anything, COVID just showed us that we were locked down for how long? We didn't go on a vacation for 1 year, and we're still happy as a worm. You can discover your backyard. There are so many things that are like in the Houston area. There are lists and lists of things that you can do for free. So you can take a day vacation that will cost you pretty much nothing. And if you have a good written budget that you have planned for, let's say, dining out, you can make it a vacation out of that, right? We can make an experience out of that. We can find contentment in spending less, in having less, and just sharing more with others.
Okay. So find ways to make each other happy without adding to the debt that you may have. Are there any program you'd like to recommend that would help with someone who is in debt and need to get out, or someone who needs to be placed on a proper financial footing as it relates to them individually or as a family?
What we have found out and what we did, the program that we did is called Financial Peace University. It's led by Dave Ramsey, and we did it with the church. And this is the book that we got.
Okay, kind of hold it up so that they can.
Okay, and we did this program. We did this program with our church, and we did this program with our friends, and we also did it with some family members. And when we did it together, at the beginning it was hard. I understand, because it requires change. But what we have gained from it is not just financial peace, but also we have gotten to be happier in our relationship and with other people, because now we have the possibility to give to other people, Now we have the possibility to spend more time with other people because we don't have all the constraints of paying the bank.
Mhm.
So this is the program that we used. Granted, there might be others, but this is the one that we know that works.
Okay.
It's 9 weeks, and many churches offer it. If you are not affiliated to a church, they also have an office you can call. You can go on the radio and ask questions live sometimes. They have many financial coaches. It's a 9-week program. It will come with all the materials. You have a full year membership access to that. And like I said before, the statistic is usually families get out of debt and into a financial wellness state within 18 to 24 months of going into this program.
Okay.
So yes, it takes time, but 2 years, it's not bad if
No,
you're going
it's
to
not.
go into something bigger and better for your family. And I would say there's something that they said at the beginning that it didn't catch me until I saw it through our children. It does change your family tree, because it's something that you have sat with people here on family dynamics. And this is also something that children should know, and the earlier they know, the better they'll behave about it. They'll be content with just the blessings that we have every day. They will make better decisions when it comes to money, wanting things that perhaps are just wants and not necessarily true needs. There's nothing wrong with wanting things. It's just society is just teaching us that it's all about the things. And now they've placed more value on relationships and having relationships with people, with their friends, family. And I think it does change your legacy. It just change your family tree when you embark on something like this, and you're able to pass on that knowledge to future generations.
Okay.
One of the things that we actually learned from this, and speaking about our children, is that we don't give them an allowance. Yeah. Our children actually get commission on certain on chores. Yes. So the important thing there is that they understand the value of money. Yeah. So they don't, every week we don't just give them money. If they want money to spend, they need to do chores. Yeah. So take out the dishes from the dishwasher, set the table. They need to clean certain parts of the house, and they get commissioned for that. Yeah. So that way, and it's interesting because when they go to buy something, they'll actually think about it, because they know, okay, I can spend this money, but it costs me this much time to get this money to buy it. So sometimes they'll go ahead and buy it, and sometimes they'll just put their money back in their pocket.
Yes, and it is very important to train our children, for proper financial management from a tender age. And once we can do that, they will discipline themselves as they grow into teenage, youth stage, eventually adulthood, to be better financiers. So I like that. I really like that. So tell me, as we prepare to wrap up here, speak to our audience. You have done something that works good for your family, and you have been sharing it with others. Now, I want you to speak to our audience, bearing in mind that we have a diverse audience listening to us. There are those who are skeptics. There are those who are not Christians. There are those who are Christians but think that, hey, no, I ain't going there. But nonetheless, they want to have peace of mind as it relates to finance. All of us do. So I want you to speak to that audience, that diverse audience, as to how serious they should take the advice given to make sure that financially it helps to bring them happiness. And from what you have said, one of the things that I've come up with also, it will help you in how you worship. Because sometimes we do not have peace of mind with worship, because at the back of our head is how we're going to pay that bill. The creditor called me today. How am I going to manage? So please speak to them.
Well, first of all, thank you for listening today. If you want to remember how to work with money, you have to remember that money is not a person. Yeah. Money doesn't have feelings. Money doesn't care. Money is a tool. Yeah. Whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, the same rules apply to you. I once heard Dave Ramsey say that if you want to get a master's degree in finance, just read Proverbs. Yeah, and you can read it if you're a Christian or not a Christian, the same rules apply. All the things that you need to do to be wise with money are there. Yeah, you need to be able to have your own money, not owe anybody for the money. You need to have a relationship with an accountability partner. You need to have a budget. And all these things are things that anybody can do. Yeah. Even if you're on minimum wage or even if you're making millions of dollars. Yeah. If you spend more than you earn, you're going to be in debt. Yeah. And the banks don't care if you are Christian, if you are not Christian, if you are Muslim, if you are not Muslim, if you have a God or if you don't have a God. Yeah. So if you want peace and you want to be able to enjoy your life and your vacation and leave something for the next generations of your family, I would suggest that you follow the rules that we have talked about today. Anything else you want to say?
Well said. Well said. I would just add, you're not alone. Even when you feel lonely, and perhaps this past year you felt isolated because of lockdowns or the situation wherever you were, you're not alone. People are there who care about you and want to help you. There are helping hands out there. You may not think of it that way, but don't be afraid to reach out. Somebody will be able to help you, and there are resources out there that we can share with you. There are places for comments where you can write to us and we can answer any questions that you may have or refer you to places that may be able to help. So don't be afraid to reach out for help, because help is out there.
Very good.
Yes, my final question. The Christians will tell you that we need to return to God. I'm indebted. What can I return? Is tithing important with those who are debt-free and those who are indebted? Is tithing important?
Okay, well, let me put it to you this way. If you and I have a business and I get to tell you, you know what, you're going to keep out of the profit 90%. I'll keep 10%. Is that a good deal for you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a good deal. Anybody that gets offered that deal is going to say it's a good deal. Well, God is making the same deal with us. Yeah. He's saying, I gave you health. I gave you this body that you have. I gave you knowledge. The only thing you have to do is keep the 90%. That's it. Yeah.
I would even say, God owns everything. The silver, the gold, it's mine, declares the Lord, right? We are just simple stewards. We are managers of the wealth that He has given us, the blessings that He has vested upon us. And to me, it's the least that we can do. And the blessings of the tithing and offerings, it's undisputable. I think if we go out there asking for testimonies, we can find more than what we can count and put on a tape, because it's a promise. and God does not break his promises.
Okay. Thank you. Sister Lyra, Brother Gabriel, I want to thank you so much for coming and sharing with us on the couch as it relates to finance and proper financial management. I hope and trust that you will continue to help others as they try to get their thing in order so that they can also enjoy, money. Yes, money. And help to go on that dreamed vacation to Paris that they long wanted to have. So I want to thank you for that. And I say to those watching us this evening, remember, we have to be disciplined. If I may say so myself, I myself need to be a little bit more disciplined. And therefore, this program not only is for you, but it is for me. We want to make sure that we do our part by having a proper financial management in our homes, in our individual lives. And that will be a blessing. As the last question stated, everything, the answer given, everything we own belongs to God. And he has asked us to return just 10% to him of our increase. And therefore, that's a blessing. In other words, if everything belonged to God and we are stewards, it means that we own nothing. And therefore, the manager is saying, just return that dividend to me. And in returning that, he says, you will be blessed. Can you imagine? It's his money. And he's saying, give it back to me, the prophet. And when you do that, I'm going to bless you abundantly. You can't beat that. As a matter of fact, you can't outgive God. And therefore, we here on the couch want you to take these advice seriously and help to walk into the path of better financial management. On the Couch is here for you. I want to say to you, subscribe, like, and subscribe to our channel, our YouTube channel. Also, write to us on onthecouchministry@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. We want to know how much you have been enjoying the program, how it has been a blessing to you. We here at the Access Church, at the Fil-Am Church, we want you and your family to be happy as you prepare for Christ's second coming. So until we meet again next Friday, 7 p.m. sharp, make sure you subscribe so that you will be prompted when it's time for this program to be heard again. God bless you richly, and may he who made us keep you and keep us. God bless.
Hello, friends. We are super excited that you have been able to be a part of the On the Couch program. I'm sure that a lot of you are really enjoying this and maybe even have other questions that are outside of this program. We would love to help you through that and point you in the direction of what the Bible says about those things. If you have any other questions or interest on what this is all about, please look into the details below on Access, which is a wonderful community. It's a church located in Sugar Land who can help you through this. If you want to know more about that, just check out the link. And also, please hit the like button.